Hello, the MACKEM CABBIE here with another episode of What the Fans Say on Tuesday the 15th of April, and we're going to dive straight in to the sad news of the passing of Carlton Fairweather. Such devastating news. That was such a top bloke, and of course he played for the Crazy Gang and that amazing FA Cup win over Liverpool all that time. Andrew says, R.I.P. Carlton, such a lovely man. Coached my son at the academy many years ago, but never forgot us. Always stopped for a word when we were often met outside the stadium on a match day. And Brian says, R.I.P. big fella. So sad to lose such an inspirational person whose passion and dedication will never be matched. A true gentleman in all aspects of life. Condolences to the family and thoughts and respect to all. Andrew says, R.I.P. Carlton, my thoughts are with you and your family. Bev says, so sad, such a lovely man, always had time to talk to you, and of course thinking of his family. John Carr says, R.I.P. Mr. Fairweather, right, first team players and staff, let's get into the Prem to honour this man. Great post. Brian says, R.I.P. Carlton, what a smashing fella he was. Met him when he coached our Liam at the academy. God bless. Terry says, R.I.P. Carlton, thoughts and prayers are with you and your family now from your SAFC family. Ian says, God, I can't believe I'm reading this. What a top bloke he was. He says, had time for anyone. Will be sorely missed. Rest in peace, my friend. And Bew says, you'd struggle to meet a nicer fella. Rest peacefully, Carlton. So a lot of the fans are naturally full of praise. There's nothing but just glowing comments from such a nice fella in the world of football. So he will be sadly missed by all. And with 4 games to go, and of course Sunderland only need a point to get no lower than 4th. So which teams will make the playoffs? And this is what the fans are saying. Andy says, would have took 4th at the beginning of the season. Ian says, we're very fortunate we started the season well. He says, honestly think we'd lose to any of the current playoff sides in a final. So he says, honestly, think we'd lose to any of the current playoff sides in the final. And Peter replies, he says, it's called a season, mate. Adam says, let Bristol win on Friday. Bradley says, even though they've got a 4-point cushion, Bristol will crumble out of Coventry, West Brom and Borough, says Bradley. Karen says, unbelievable season. Says, cannot believe the negativity from the fans. How were the lads? Kyle says, I'd take Bristol in the semis and Borough in the final. I'd want to avoid Coventry, Sheffield and Millwall. David says, don't want Coventry. Anyone else I'll settle for. Connor says, Burnley lose all 4 games. We win 10-0 every game. We go up automatics. And I think he's been sniffing something. How Connor. Malcolm Fenwick says, rest the entire team, the first team squad, or as many as possible for the next 3 games. Why risk injuries or suspensions for the playoffs? Ian replied to that, says, I think we're seeing a team playing very within themselves right now. Everyone is saying it's slow, it's boring. We know we're in the playoffs regardless of what we do now. So why give all your tricks away? Rest players and look boring and slow on the pitch. Then come the playoffs, turn it on. Peter says we can finish on 92 points. Carla says, think Borough will take Bristol City's spot. Stephen says Coventry v West Brom on Friday is absolutely massive. So some good comments there on the playoffs. And now we're going to see what the fans are saying about Salas Abdul Samad. Of course, he's been on loan at Sunderland since last summer. But the move hasn't really worked out for him, has it? So let's see what the fans are saying. Anton says the amount of people who say he's crap after he was out for 5 months with an injury, and then for him to come into a new country and a new league, players need time to adapt and come good. Has everyone we've ever bought been classed straight away? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it took a certain Jack Clark time, and then what happened? The reply to that says, and Peter says, he's obviously a class player. His past tells you that our fans make judgment far too quickly. If he's fit, he could have a massive part to play in the playoffs. Sean says, sorry fella, but if your life and future in football depends on this chance at Sunderland, I'd be working a damn sight harder. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for him. I wish him all the best. Stephen says, thank God we have no obligation to buy. Dennis says, finally some positive news. We don't have an obligation to buy, thank God. Kevin says, I wasn't impressed what I seen of him before he got injured in March, but when he came on as a sub on Saturday, I thought he at least showed something. Hopefully he can stay fit now and see if he can keep improving and able to help the team get over the line. Gavin says, the fans saying he's rubbish, etc. will be the same ones who called Job rubbish last season and earlier in the season and would be kicking off if he gets sold this summer. Neil says, watch him score the winner in the playoff final. Brian says, good, let's get rid. Cost us points in games he's played. Michael says, he's been crap when he came on. However, we've seen a bit of something against Swansea. David says, bloke's never kicked a football in his life. Absolute con man. Marco says, not the Gabbidinis, Marco Dell says, unimpressed, he's off the pace and a passenger in the team. Andrew says, another Speakman transfer failure. No wonder our squad is so threadbare. Stephen says, garbage, send him back. Graham says, thank God we haven't got to buy him. He is useless, like most of the crap we brought in last summer. Matthew says, was better than Neil and Rig put together at the weekend. Chris says, he was 10 times better than Dan Neil on Saturday. Neil forgot how to pass a ball weeks ago. Razia says, did well on Saturday, start him on Friday and give Dan Neil a rest. So there's quite a few positive comments there about he did well. So there we go. That's the what the fans are saying on this episode, and we'll catch you later for more videos from the MACKEM CABBIE. See you later.